So I have a new Wakanda application. I'm going to show you how to add custom CSS to a Wakanda interface. If we, this is a blank project, we'll go into the web folder here. I'll open an index page, and when you have an index page, the contents are your HTML page, a package.json file, and you also have a CSS file that's generated. So we're going to work with containers just because they're easy to demonstrate styling with. So I've brought a container onto the stage, and I'm going to add a custom CSS file. Now some people have added custom CSS to this application.css file. I'm going to recommend against that because when you create a rule, for instance, in the Styles tab, this file is regenerated and you would lose all of your custom CSS. So I would recommend you do this type of thing. We'll go New Folder, and we'll make a folder called CSS, and this is where I'm going to store all of my custom CSS files. I'll go New File. We'll just call it My Styles.css, and this is where I'm going to write my custom CSS rules. In the index page, I'll click on the page so that we have the document properties, and you can see here style sheets that are included. We'll add a new one. You can browse for it. I'll just cancel and select and drag the file we just created. You can see now, so we're going to have our index.css, the generated file, application.css, which will have all of your roles and theme styles, and then we have our custom CSS, and this is where I'll add my rules to override the built-in styles. So in our styles.css, if you go to index and go to source, you'll see container 1, they're just basically div elements. So if we go into styles, say I wanted every one of my containers to have a blue background, I would make a rule for div, and I would make background color equal to blue, and save, and we go to our index. Now you would expect, this being a div, that it would overwrite. Now I'm making a mistake here on purpose to demonstrate. So when we go to the project, you can see that here we have a style but no blue. I'm going to show you the reason for that. If we go into our index.css, this is the generated CSS, you can see that when you apply styling, which Studio does by default, it gives certain styling, you can see that it uses an ID selector, and an ID selector has a very high specificity. If you haven't read about CSS and how it calculates specificity, I would recommend you do so. So in My Styles, we need to raise the specificity of this selector in order to have precedence and overwrite the existing rule of a white background. If we go back to index again and go to source, the way I'm going to do this is a little bit of a hack, but you can see the ID of the body tag in a Studio created index or page is waf-body. So I'm going to take that and I'll go back to our CSS file, and I'm basically going to bump up the specificity because every div will be inside of my body tag. So that, and when I save this, go back to the browser and reload, you'll see now we have the rule has overwritten. And if you don't know this trick in Google Chrome, for instance, you can inspect an element and you can actually see which rules have been overwritten and how the CSS is actually working. Because what happens here is we now have a generic for div tags in our application. As we could go to index, we could drag on another container, and it is going to be styled with the very same blue background. So I hope that helps and gives you an explanation, and good luck with it.